Bill Faith here. Welcome to the brand new edition of the Paid Traffic Show. Super excited about what we got going on today. I'm joined by my boy, Mark Petrie, coming to us live from Los Angeles. Mark, how are your holidays, buddy?
I had a great time, Bill. Got to see the family. Went up to South Lake Tahoe. Had a lot of fun.
That looked pretty amazing up there. Beautiful. Some of the pictures that you posted on Facebook and that type of stuff. So, and actually, you joined in from your dad's house up there. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Mine was really good. Everybody, we've got a brand new format today. You can see on the right-hand side of the screen, we've got the countdown timer. We're in the intro mode. We're getting into ad budget, expectations, optimization time, Facebook testing, SEO, Facebook or Google, carpet bombs, and what converts today. And Mark and I are going to be under the gun. We are joined by Tim Swart, one of our Limo University marketing managers today, who's going to be asking the questions as we go through everything. Mark, are you ready?
Let's do this.
Tim, let's roll, baby.
Alrighty. So our first topic today is an important one. Mark, you've got 2 minutes to answer this question about ad budget. What is a good starting budget for a small business running Google or Facebook ads?
Yeah, so I get this question a lot. And one thing you guys have to understand is you don't have to have a certain budget. Now, the most important thing to remember is your budget determines how many clicks you get. So one thing to keep in mind is if you are operating in a really large city like New York, Chicago, LA, if you only have a $10 a day budget, you might only get 2 to 3 clicks a day. On the other hand, if you are in a smaller market, you could get up to 8 to 10 clicks a day. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Another thing to keep in mind is what sort of service are you offering? If you're a limo company that does a lot of stuff with airports, those clicks are going to be a lot more expensive because there's just a ton of competition in that area. I've seen clicks go up to $5, $6, $7 a click in major markets. If you're doing party buses, it's going to be a heck of a lot lower. So, for instance, if you're in a small city doing party buses, you might only be paying $1.50 a click. You can get away with a $10 a day budget. If you're doing airports and you're in New York, you might need to spend $30 or $40 a day to get 1 or 2 leads a day.
So really, Mark, what you're saying is that the ad budget needs to be customized based on their market and based on their goals, right?
Exactly,
so
100%.
I think and I don't think there's any difference from Google ads to Facebook ads. It's really the same. But most importantly, you need to think about what do you have revenue-wise in your total overall marketing budget. Look, if you have $1,000 a month, you're probably going to need to choose one or the other. If you've got a $3,000 a month budget, then I would start to want to segment. But the old adage of spending 10% of your gross revenue just doesn't exist today. So know your financials first and make prudent decisions with your ad dollars.
All right, topic number 2, expectations. Bill, what should I expect in the first few weeks of my new campaign with regards to lead volume for Google ads and Facebook?
So expectations, I think, they're never in line with reality. And I'll start kind of with search engine optimization because I think people think they're going to get results from SEO immediately, right, Mark? I'm sure you've seen the exact same thing. And you talked about this in one of your whiteboard deals a few weeks ago. With Google ads and with Facebook, it's called direct response marketing. It should start working immediately, but there's some caveats that need to be, going to the precipice ahead of this, right? So number one, you've got to have a brand. If you don't have a brand built, and people are seeing your Google ad, even though there's intent behind it with the search for the keywords and it's really well-written copy, and then you also are starting with Facebook ads, it doesn't matter, either or. If you haven't built up your brand, your expectations for immediate leads are not going to be in line with reality. If you do have a brand inside of your market, then you can start to get leads quicker. But there is always an optimization phase, at least within Facebook ads. And I'll let Mark talk about the Google ads. And Facebook ads, you can't just deploy an ad and expect it to work. You're in your learning phase at that time. You're in the testing phase. That's why we recommend that you A/B test. And you're going through the testing and you're starting with a certain budget. And then you may ramp it up or ramp it down based on those results. I think most people just think that right out of the gate, their ads are going to work and they should be generating leads. And you got to tweak them. You got to learn. You got to track and optimize. What say you, Mark?
Yeah, so as far as the brand goes, that might be a bigger thing with Facebook. While that always helps no matter what sort of advertising you're doing, I've started clients off that had no brand whatsoever, completely cold, and had them generating leads from day one. So I'm not sure if brand building and having a large brand might help you a little bit more on Facebook. I'm not saying it doesn't help on Google, but it isn't a prerequisite to start generating leads and to start generating sales.
So what about the lead volume, right? So I think that's what I'm talking about. There's no question, I think on both platforms, you can start generating leads immediately without a brand. But the question was about volume. So I'm going to assume that volume for me means I want 20, 30 leads a week, coming in, right? So if you're looking at 20 to 30 leads immediately, no question, I would actually go this way, default over to Mark, and I'd be putting my budget into Google Ads. If you're looking at more of a long-term strategy to where you are going to build your brand, you're going more after those corporate clients, and you're going after those specific buyers, and then you want to use like lookalike lists, which are extremely effective, then I would probably be putting some ad dollars into Facebook ads. But I don't see it as one or the other. If I have $1,000 in my budget, I'm going to probably spend about $250 a month in Facebook ads and about $750 a month in Google AdWords, depending on what our clicks are.
All right, optimization time. Mark, how long does it take for my campaign to start performing optimally?
So this really
TikTok, Mark, TikTok, baby.
So this really depends on if you are starting your campaign yourself, how much knowledge you have on Google Ads. If you're hiring an agency and they don't have any experience in your industry or in your market, it can take 3-4 months for a campaign to start performing optimally. If you've never done Google Ads before and you're learning, it could take you a year or more for it to start performing optimally. If you work with an agency that has experience in your industry and even better in your market, it can start performing really well right away. But I don't like to say that every time. So I would say about 75% of the time for myself, when I start in an industry and market I know, it starts producing a high volume of leads right away. But just to give a general opinion, I would say probably 4 to 6 weeks in general is the average when working with an agency to when you can start seeing, good results.
So, it's funny. It kind of goes back into, the expectation side, of this, right? And a lot of people think that they're going to start, you just said on Google Ads, which is going to perform faster than almost any other ad platform, that you need to be patient and wait for 4 to 6 weeks. The problem is that most people are giving up after week number 1 or week number 2, and they think that these leads are just going to come flooding in. Unfortunately, that's just not the reality of what happens. And there's a reason, like and I don't know that you do this in the Google ad side, Mark, but in the Facebook ad side, there's a lot of discussion because people don't know how to scale their ads properly. And what I mean by that is most experts are starting with a smaller budget, and then after about a week, they're increasing their budget by 15 to 20%. Then they're increasing on week number 3 their budget by another 15 to 20% if it's working, and they continue to scale their budget. So I talk a lot about testing, right? And I think that we need to test our budgets, and we want to get a proven winner. And I believe if I put $100 in and I can get $102 out, then I'm going to put in $125 and see if I can get $130 out and turn that $2 profit into $5. And if I can get to $200 and show a $20 profit, and I can get to $400 and show a $60 profit, so I can incrementally grow, as I'm trying to, test through my optimization time. No question, I believe Google AdWords is going to optimize faster and time-wise than what you would see in Facebook ads. And primarily, you actually have more factors that play into Facebook ads, which is a good and a bad thing. If you're not going all into Facebook ads and you're not really focusing on your copy, you're not focusing on your creative, and you're not testing copy and you're not testing creative, and then, because remember, Google Ads doesn't have creative. It just has copy, sales page. Facebook has copy, creative, and sales page.
All right, Bill, Facebook testing. How many ads should I test when starting a new campaign?
How many ads should I test when starting a new campaign? I'll tell you, most people, Tim, they start with 1, and that's not enough. Minimum, you should have 2 ads. You should have an A and a B test. And if you really look at some of the experts in our industry, they're starting with 5, sometimes 6 ads, depending on their budget. You can't do that with a $10 a day budget, though. So most of you, if you're going to be running $5, $10, $20 a day, you probably need to start with 2 ads. If you're at $20 a day, you could work in 3. But if you're at $10 or less, your budget's going to constrict you to where you need to have at least $5 a day for each one of those ads, so you can only do 2. Now, I think, Tim, when we started Lab Live, we started with like 5 or 6 ads that we were running, but we were running like $25 a day, I believe it was, for each one of those ad campaigns, just for like the first week, right? And then we go in and we're testing for that first week and seeing which ones are the winners and the losers, and then I'm going to put more budget behind the winner, right? So there is no set optimization time. It could take 5 days. It could take 5 weeks. There's also no set number of ads. That's really going to correlate to your budget. It's also going to correlate to the size of the reach that you're going to have. So if your reach is only about 6,000 people, let's say you're trying to target travel managers inside of a 10-mile trade radius or executive admins, that's a lot different than trying to target every female aged between 15 to 18 for proms in a 30-mile trade radius, right? So your budget and your targeting is going to constrict how many ads you should or should not be testing. The more, the merrier, typically, but you got to have the budget to be able to support that. What do you say with Google ads, Mark?
So Google ads is a whole lot different than Facebook ads as far as that's concerned. You could start with 100 ads. It's not going to cost you any more. Typically in an ad group, I advise to run 3 ads at a time, and that's typically where you're going to see the best results. And over time, you can select the option to let Google pick the best performing ad to serve to the audience. And depending on how many people are doing, how many impressions you're getting, once you get to 500, 1,000 impressions, you can start to decide which ads can be changed up, which are the winners, which are the losers. And you want to be doing this every single month and figuring out which ads are best, and then changing your other ads to reflect those winners.
Awesome stuff. Tim, what's next?
All right, Mark, which one should I start with? SEO, Facebook ads, or Google ads?
Okay. So I actually I believe I did a whiteboard on this the other day. And now I can't really say 100% with Facebook ads, so I'll leave that to Bill later. But as far as SEO or Google ads, if you've been around, let's say 10, 20 years, you have a website that has been around for a while, it has links going to it, you are in a very good spot typically to start doing SEO and seeing immediate results. If your site, without doing any SEO to it, is already ranked on maybe the second or top of the third page, you can see some pretty quick results from starting with SEO. Now, most businesses aren't in that position. They don't have an age site with links going towards it. In that case, if they have a limited budget and must pick one or the other, then I would suggest going with Google ads. And the reason I say that is most businesses need cash flow in order to finance their operations and continued marketing. And unfortunately, with SEO, when you start with a brand new website, to start getting results, depending on your market and competition, it can take anywhere from 4 to 6 up to a year and a half to really start seeing results and a return on your investment. Whereas with Google ads, from day one, you should start to receive leads. Unless, of course, you are learning Google ads and doing your own campaign, then it might take a while. But if you're working with an agency that knows their stuff, you should start seeing results right away from Google ads. And if you have a large budget, do both. Do both SEO and Google ads. That's going to be where you're going to get the greatest bang for your buck in the long term. But as far as Facebook ads, what do you think, Bill?
So I got a little bit different perspective. It's somewhat in line with what you just said, but I think you should start, if you have the budget, and I would be going after long-tailed keywords on Google ads. So I'm not going after New York Limo, that's going to cost $20 to $25 per click, as you've talked about previously. But one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to try to recapture the traffic that clicks through to my sales page or landing page and doesn't convert. So I'm actually going to be doing Google ads and Facebook ads at the exact same time. So if I have $1,000 a month in budget, I'd probably give Mark about $800 to $850 of that budget for the immediate direct response that's coming from Google Ads that's hitting my sales page. But then I'm going to spend about $150 to $200 a month of that. I'm going to drop the Facebook pixel on that sales page, and I'm going to be retargeting with Facebook ads to be able to bring them back. And when I say bring them back, most people are driving them back to the exact same sales page. If it was me, and this is, if you want to get into the advanced side, I'm driving them to a different sales page, right? So Google ad goes to sales page number 1. I'm giving Mark that budget because he's the expert to do that for me. Then I'm coming in and I'm going to retarget with Facebook ads, sending them to sales page number 2 for a conversion. Look, I don't think that most of you that are watching this have enough money to invest into search engine optimization to see tangible results, because you got to be in that for the long term. You cannot do SEO for less than 6 months. And if you're in a big market, New York, Miami, Chicago, Los Angeles, you're minimum $1,500 a month, to see any type of traction. You aren't going to get shit for $300 to $500 a month on search engine optimization. So I think Google combined with Facebook, look, it's funny. I just got off a phone call with a smaller operator just north of Boston right before the call, Mark. And, he had posted in Facebook about wanting to, who should he go to rebuild his website? His website's on Weebly. It's not even finished. He's been in business for 10 years. The problem is he's got 3 cars and he can't even afford enough money to, 1, be able to build the website in his marketing budget, and 2, to be able to optimize it. So if you can't afford that optimization budget, then don't build the website. I look at the same thing. That's why I'd start with Google, retarget with Facebook, and push SEO off to the side, contrary to what other people in this industry will tell you. Tim, what's up next, buddy?
All right. So, Bill, I've heard you mention a carpet bomb in the Ask Limo show. What is it and what should I do with it?
A carpet bomb. That's where you go to Stanley Cleaner, rent a carpet cleaner, and then just start cleaning all your carpets in your house. Just kidding. This is something that was actually, it's a system that was invented by a gentleman that's probably one of the top 3 Facebook ad experts in the world. I kind of learned it from him. And the carpet bomb theory, for those of you that are really trying to target kind of a local area, number 1 is you create a 30-second video. And inside that 30-second video, you need to have a call to action in the first 10 seconds. And then you need to have your value proposition between second number 10 and second 20. And then from second 20 to second 30, you need to reiterate your call to action and drive people to take action. So if you're in Facebook ads, you probably want to drive them either to a lead ad form, which is right inside of Facebook, or that's where you're displaying a link to be able to get more information, or your discount or your offer, whatever that is. But it's really critical that you're setting it up in that 0 to 10 seconds, 10 to 20, and 20 to 30. Because here's where the carpet bomb comes in. You do absolutely no targeting in that first video ad. And you send that to everybody that would be qualified, maybe 23, 24, 25 years old or older. For corporate travelers, you could do, if you want to do everybody, you can. Not saying maybe no male, no female, no job descriptions, no home value, none of the great stuff that you get to use with Facebook. Because what you're doing, the carpet bomb part, is everybody, and let's just say here in Nashville, all 1.3 million people are going to see that ad. And then I'm going to retarget them based on how much of that video they actually watched, or if they took action and actually clicked through to my lead ad inside of Facebook or to my sales page. So the reason they call it a carpet bomb is, just think about this huge 1950s bomber, 1960s bomber, and dropping, a huge bomb, what is it, a B-1 bomber or something like that, or a nuclear bomb that drops, and it's just not really accurate, but it covers everything. So then it's what we call user intent targeting. Facebook is going to track the actions that your user, whether the percentage of video that they're watching or the action that they take clicking the lead ad, converting on lead ad, or going through to your sales page, and then you can retarget them accordingly with a different retargeting ad for each one of those segments. That's why you're putting your call to action and your value proposition in between the segments that you can actually retarget on in Facebook, because Facebook is going to create a new custom audience for each one of those segments. 0 to 10 seconds, really 0 to 3 seconds, 3 to 10 seconds, 10 second 50% of the video, and then 75% and more. That's what a carpet bomb is. What's up next, Tim?
All right, Mark. What type of form, call, chatbot, etc. converts the best on a sales page?
So as far as the form and the call, really the best forms are typically, this isn't always the case, but typically are the shorter the form, the better it converts. So just think about this. If you go to a page and you see 20, 25 form fields, you probably don't want to fill all those form fields out, and you'll lose a lot of people if you have too many of those fields. Now, this isn't always the case, but in most cases it is. The mistakes I see most people making with their sales pages is the person lands on the page, and above the fold, which means before you start scrolling, you don't see a phone number. And if you do see a phone number, it's an image that can't be clicked on. So number one, make sure above the fold you have a phone number that's large, easy to see. You can even put a call to action next to it, say call now with a clickable phone number. You also want to start your form above the fold as well. I was just speaking with a client about this. He sent me a sample of his sales page, and it had the phone number that was clickable above the fold, but I didn't see the form start above the fold, which is what I like to see every time when I'm doing a sales page. And so just keep in mind these few things. One, have that phone number clickable above the fold, have the form with as few of those form fields as possible. I know in the limousine industry, it helps to have a certain amount of information if you are actually going to give someone a quote. But, test different things out. I mean, if you're calling a lot of these clients, maybe test out using only a few form fields, name, email, and phone number. It gives you something to talk about when you call them. It might increase your conversion rate, 10, 15%, which would be massive. And so just keep those things in mind. As far as chatbots, I don't use them right now. So maybe I should ask Bill about that one.
Well, I agree with what you said specifically about the form. So in the olden days, people would want to take all the reservation information on a form conversion in the limousine industry. How many passengers, what date, where do you want to be greeted at the airport, what type of vehicle, how long, what stops are you going to make, all that type of stuff. And they get a 1.5% conversion rate and think, oh, wow, well, this whole ad campaign sucks. It's not converting. It's your form. So that's one of the elements on a sales page that you have to optimize. It's not just your image of your vehicle or, your phone number at the top. Mark's 100% correct in what he's talking about. Now, you don't have that many options, coming from a Google ad. You've got a lot more options coming from a Facebook ad. And one thing that I don't see people using a whole lot is, one, sending people to Messenger to have an immediate dialogue, right? And two, going and testing out lead ads right inside of Facebook. Chris, my video guy who's running this whole deal, actually just posted in our Limo members group. I think it was our members group, right, Chris? About some new dynamic rich media that you can actually put into a lead ad form, which makes it almost like its own sales page. So now on Facebook, I can keep the prospect right inside of that platform that they're comfortable using. So I don't have to click from here to go to a sales page on my laptop. That's going to increase your conversion. I don't think there is a number one, number two, or number three, converting mechanism. I think you've got to test and see what works for each individual campaign. Because remember, your buyer is what determines what's going to convert, right? If I'm going after prom kids versus prom parents, I'm using chatbots, I'm using text message, which may not work if I'm going after old people and the parents like me. So just make sure you're optimizing for your buyers.
All right, Bill, here's an easy one. Video or images? Which should I be using in my ads?
In your ads, video versus images, I think you should be using both, to be honest with you. I think everybody defaults just going to video because it's so cheap on a per watch, at 1.2 cents per video view. They say, oh, well, hey, I can get a lot more views than it's cheaper. Well, typically images are actually going to convert higher if you have the conversion set up appropriately inside of Facebook and you have a great image. Now, in this industry, an image of just a vehicle is not going to work. And there's a lot of subliminal messages, just like where the eyes are looking in an image or if somebody's pointing one way or another. If I want you to look at Mark, I'm going to do this. If I'm just trying to make a point to you, I'm going to do this. If I want you to look over here, then I'm going to make my eyes go that way in an image. There's a lot of things that happen in your creative that's going to make one or another more or less valuable. But kind of going back to what converts on a sales page, that's going to be different for each one of your individual buyers. I'm sure Mark is writing different copy for his ads in Google Ads and designing different sales pages or landing pages for proms versus going after airport transfers. Correct, Mark?
Yeah, I use a variety of different pages depending on the service.
So, I don't think it's one or the other. I use a lot of video because that's really what I'm comfortable with. But we also use images as well. We have a lot of images, just for the branding that are out there for our Lab Live, conference that's coming up in a few weeks. So I would mix and match with both. Once again, go in and optimize and let the metrics decide, let the results decide what you should be using moving forward. It's very similar to organic social media. I talk about this a lot. Your community is going to vote on your content. And when you see a big fat 0 on your engagement, your likes, your loves, your comments, your shares, that is your community telling you they are not interested in what you just posted. Doesn't really matter if it's an image, all text, or a video. They just aren't interested. Now, when you go in and you just post all text and it's very inspirational, it's a quote, whatever it is, and they like it, and you see 100 people that like it, engage it, there's a reason that when we have a birthday, that's typically for an average person, that's the highest engagement they get in a year, in any given year of an engagement with one of their posts, right? Or just on their page, because it has to do with your friends, your community that are coming to your page and wishing you a happy birthday. Does that make sense? There's a reason for those of you that are in the network marketing, the MLM game, when you post all of your shit on your page every single day, 5 times a day, that your friends tune you out and they don't even start commenting on all of your stuff. I'm sure you've seen it, Mark. I've seen it. We've all seen it because the people aren't interested. We're just trying to pound it, down their throat. So it's not video or image, just like it was, about what converts. It's about your buyer.
Well said.
Thank you, little Timmy. I really appreciate it. So that's it today, folks. What do you think about the new format, Mark? Did you like it today?
Yeah, no, great idea, Bill. I love this. I feel like
awesome. Really don't give a shit about your opinion, as I was just talking about. Who I really care about is you. So I want to hear your feedback down in the comments. Did you like this new format? If you did, we're going to continue to do it. If you don't like it, we're not going to continue to do it. If you have questions for Mark or I, just slap a comment down below or PM us. We're both in the group. You can PM Mark Petrie. You can PM me, Bill Faith. But before we go, I've got something that I want to show you guys right here. This is free marketing, 101 low to no cost marketing tips by Jim Cochran. I read this a few months ago. I showed this to my members in Lab probably about 3 or 4 months ago. And I wanted to show this to you guys because as we talk about a lot of these things, everything comes down to budget. I'm just going to leave this right here so you can write that down. Everything comes down to budget. And you shouldn't, in my opinion, just invest into Google Ads or Facebook ads. I know this is the paid traffic show, but really this is about marketing, right, Mark? So
exactly.
You need to take advantage of everything that you can that's going to be free so you can maximize the budget that you would spend on your own or with a guy like Mark. So I think you should be doing email marketing. You should be taking advantage of PR. For those of you that are trying to build your affiliate business, why are you not sending press releases to Chauffeur Driven and LCT magazine like every freaking week to get in their e-news, to get into those magazines? I promise you, their editors are looking for interviews, looking for new ideas, and looking for content. So that's kind of what I have as the wrap today. Mark, do you have anything that you want to end with?
No, that was great, Bill.
Awesome. So those of you that are coming to Lab Live here in Nashville, January 21st, 22nd, you're going to be able to see Mark. Mark's actually just committed before the show today. He's going to be doing about 20 or 30 individual audits and consultations. And he's also got some other cool stuff that we're going to be doing in groups inside the Gretsch Motors Lounge, inside of the Lexus Lounge, inside of Bridgestone Arena, January 21st, 22nd. So make sure if you're here, that you sign up when you come in and register for the show. That's all we got for you on today's episode. Tim, thank you very much for everything that you did today. Thank you to Chris behind the screen. Thank you to Mark in Los Angeles. We'll do a better job next time. Tuesday, next week, 1 p.m. Central Time. See you guys there.